Welcome to this week's Preston Respect video blog. This week we're filming outside what was the Burley Street post office in Preston. That's this large and rather impressive building behind us. It's a large post office, a Crown post office, and it was a regular meeting point for Prestonians in the town centre, close to the bus station, and it was always busy. But 4 years ago, the Burley Street post office was closed by the post office. In the last 16 years, over 500 Crown post offices across the country have been closed, and this was one of them. This is part of the post office's privatisation agenda, where they try to close as many of the larger post offices and in turn move them to smaller retail outlets, or, as in Preston, put them into conjunction and partnership with other organisations, whether it's Tesco's, W.H. Smith, or various smaller retailers in the town. So instead of having a central post office like the one in Burley Street, postal services in Preston, or counter services in Preston, have been transferred down to various local supermarkets, like the one behind me. Now these are spread across Preston, so you might think that this is bringing postal services closer to the people. But there are a number of problems with that. The first one is that it means that dedicated counter staff have lost their jobs. There have been thousands of jobs across the country which have disappeared in post offices and Crown post offices across the country, and that's the first problem. The second problem is that those jobs have been replaced by part-time, temporary and low-paid shop workers whose main task is to sell goods in supermarkets. And the third problem is that we always had a network of local post offices. These were called sub-post offices. But of course, if you have a sub-post office and it's close to a supermarket which is doing postal services, something's got to give, and it's the sub-post offices that are also closing. We've now moved about 100 metres from where we last filmed outside the supermarket, and we're outside the local travel agent. The relevance is that up until 2 years ago this wasn't a travel agent and money exchanger, this was the local sub-post office. So you can see that the rationalisation plans of the post office don't bring services closer to the community. Actually, they're about closing large employers, central post offices and cheapening labour as part of their counter services across the country. So this is part of the privatisation and rationalisation agenda, but it's only one important part of what the post office are trying to do. So that's the story so far. You can see that counter services in the post office are being pushed out to small offices. People are losing their jobs, and this is bringing no benefits to the community at all. This is part of the post office's privatisation and rationalisation. But of course, it's only a small part of the post office business. The post office also do delivery work and sorting of mail, and we're now outside the Preston sorting office. Now, we have also seen the effects of privatisation and rationalisation in the delivery and sorting sectors of the post office. In the last few years, almost 40,000 workers have lost their jobs in this part of the post office. It means that in terms of delivery, we've gone from 2 postal deliveries per household a day to single deliveries. We'll recognise this because deliveries have also got later in the day. The package that you get may be larger, but we've certainly moved away from a notion that this is a service to the public, and this is part of the business-orientated drive that has been led by Adam Crozier and Alan Layton. They've also made a series of cuts. What they want to do is adopt what they call the Dutch model. This means that they want to privatise the post office, but it means they also want to bring in more casual workers. They want to stop paying pension. They've already taken a pension holiday to try and make the post office a profitable business. This led to a series of strikes earlier this year as the CWU, the Postal Workers Union, fought not only for a living wage, because many postal workers work for the paltry sum of £300 to £350 a week, but also to protect the pensions of those who have been working in a hard and difficult job for all their life. The post office say they don't have the money for the pension. The post office say they don't have the money for the pay. The post office say they don't have the money to employ people on full-time contracts. But Adam Crozier has managed to get over £1 million a year out of the post office for a 2-day working week. That's the kind of business values that the post office want to bring. And that's why Respect nationally and Respect in Preston are proud to say that we stand with the CWU, the Postal Workers Union, in their fight against privatisation, and we stand with communities who are protesting against the closure of the local sub-post offices and the central Crown post offices, and the replacement by a market-driven, rationalised system which puts the interests of business and profits above the interests of people.